Welcome to another episode of the Rhythm of the Road podcast. This podcast is not just about the journey, but also about the growth, transformation, and self-discovery that comes with life on the proverbial road. Grab a cup of joe, buckle up, and let's embark on a journey of self-discovery, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Let's get rolling.
And welcome back to another episode of Rhythm of the Road podcast. I am your amazing, awesome, super fun, somewhat monotone, and somewhat just winging it host, Jeremy Schreifels. Excited to be back with you here today. And this is something that I've experienced the last couple weeks, and I just wanted to share it here because it's amazing how just making small little adjustments in what you're doing have a huge impact. And not just a huge impact on the immediate or a small group of people, but it can also have like the perfect trickle down effect. And so I was in a meeting last week and I'm working with this team of amazing individuals, and we're kind of adjusting systems and looking at things and how are we working on things and what's the flow of our week and time management and kind of all these things. And for me, I like to kind of sit back a little bit and just take that 10,000 foot view of what's going on and what are all the interactions we're having and what are all these things that we're doing, and start asking a lot of questions and ask the whys and the hows and the where did this even come from, or what was the purpose this served when we started, or does it even serve us anymore? And so one of the suggestions that I made was literally just eliminating this one weekly task that affected about 18 to 20 people. And it included 13 or 14 people sending information to 3 or 4 people. And then those 3 or 4 people disseminating out that information to everybody else and flooding everybody's inboxes with a bunch of emails, with a bunch of information that, come to find out, most people weren't even using. Most people weren't even looking at. Some, as soon as they saw them come into their inbox, they just deleted them. And so think about that for a second. How many things are you doing during the week that you think are a necessary or essential task that people aren't even paying attention to? They're not even looking at them. They're not even giving 30 seconds to a look to something that, in some cases, those people were spending anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes a week doing this one task. And so just eliminating that task literally had the room in like a moment of celebration. And yet there was this weird coming of like, where did this even come from? Or why did we decide to do this? Or more importantly, why weren't we willing to just say something and change it? And so when we're in those groups, sometimes like tasks or things that we do or little systems that we put into place, sometimes they just roll into our world, and then people just start doing them, and then people catch on, and then now we're just doing them. And sometimes there was a discussion about the method or why or how or the purpose that it was serving, but sometimes they just started doing it but didn't really take the time to figure out the who's, the what's, the why's, the how's, and then how is it going to affect the organization. So not only did we give back time to those people that were gathering that information, we also gave back time to the 13 people that had to take the time to sit down, type that email, and send it. And then that second group of people had to take that information, compile it, and send it. And then the big realization, and the one piece that I really wanted to hit home, was once those people received that final email, they had to decide what to do with it. Some people just deleted it, and so that was over in 10 seconds. Some people opened them all, read them all, realized, I don't know what I need to do with these. More importantly, when there were changes to what was on those emails, people would send more emails. And so then they would hit your inbox again. So each time your brain's like taking this, for lack of a better phrase, a sucker punch. And then like you had to kind of wake back up a little bit. And so I eliminated that task. And there was this instant celebration and sigh of relief. And then that flooded down into the rest of the staff. So think about the impact, just one little thing, removing it from the equation, and not just saying, I didn't go into that meeting going, hey, I noticed this thing that you're doing. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know why you're doing it. I mean, I don't want to do it. So let's just not do it. That's not what I did. I said, seems like we could save some time here. Tell me a little bit why and how and what. And then if the answer is we need to have this information, it needs to be there, then there's probably a piece of technology that we're already using that we could do that. That's still, again, not going to waste people's time. Well, the consensus in that meeting was, yes, we might need access to that information. However, we don't need to waste people's time by compiling and sending out emails and then wasting people's inbox space and more people's time and mental energy as they may receive those things or they have to create those things. So remember, sometimes just making small adjustments makes that huge impact. Sometimes life-changing or business-changing or systems-changing events are very small. And so I think about this illustration when I've seen the corporate structure before. I've been part of a big retail box store in a management level. And the one thing that we always discuss was when the CEO, which is like that big, huge wheel and those big, huge cogs in the wheel, would make a decision, yes, that would turn slowly and do one tick. But it was by the time you got down to a store level and you were on those wheels that had like 100 or 200 teeth and you were spinning and winning and like you're just grinding and it's almost like the teeth would spin off. So if they would start to move that wheel at the top a lot faster, those tiny wheels at the bottom that were working and doing all of the work, they were just running and they never knew. So like really was anything getting done? So this is actually working in the opposite. You're making that one change and you're actually slowing down that system and giving back time, giving back opportunities, making a bigger impact. So think about your week. Think about your day. What are those tasks that you're doing? What are those things that you're doing? What are the parts of your system where you could increase productivity by giving back time either to yourself or to your staff or to your team that ultimately is going to flow back upwards in terms of productivity. It's going to flow back upwards in terms of building a stronger culture because they'll have an understanding of like, we're in this together. And ultimately, as an owner, it's going to help you increase your profit because people are going to work more efficient, which gives you more opportunity to allow those people to work with more clients, ultimately bringing more revenue in the door. So think about that. Make the small adjustments, see the impact that they can have because you'll know immediately how big of an impact they have. Thank you so much for taking a listen. Thank you so much for watching and continuing to support the over 1,000 subscribers that we now have on YouTube. I thank you for continuing to show up every week and support this podcast. And I'll see you on down the road.
Thanks for cruising with me on this episode of Rhythm of the Road. Remember, the journey itself is the destination. Until next time, keep the rhythm flowing, and we'll see you down the road.